We have a quorum on hand, which is excellent. And first up is approval of minutes from February 24th. I don't think there's any need for introductions. We all know everybody. So approval of the minutes for February 24th.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
We got a motion and second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of passing, please say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Next up is public comments. Anybody like to address the board? Doesn't sound like it. So, Rod, on to item number D, adoption of the SKATS 2025-2026 United Planning Work Plan from Mike Caffey and Ray Jackson.
So this is the third time you've seen this item. We at least the third time we showed you the draft document in January before the federal agencies reviewed it, and then and you gave comments on that draft, and then we brought the draft back last month, showing there wasn't really that much substantial changes to the text. But last month's discussion was mostly about the funding tables and the match amount. And we wrote that up in the minutes and a lot of discussion about all that. So I'm bringing it back with kind of two things that I'm going to talk about. One is to have present the funding tables and another description about that, including some discussion about in-kind match. So I'm going to review the funding tables that have changed, and then the action is to approve the resolution to adopt the UPWP, so we can get it posted and we can get the IGA with ODOT, so we can start spending the funds starting this July. So that's the big picture here. Next one, thank you. So this is a slide we had from last month. It shows that we have lots of different kinds of funds that go into the UPWP. And if you look at the arrows on the left, they include PL or planning funds that come from the federal government. And it's just a distribution among the different MPOs. Same with PL 2.5, which is a small slice of those PL funds. The STBG funds come from the SKATS TIP and can be used for planning. So we've been using STBG funds for planning for many years. And the last one is 5303 FTA funds. So this is just a refresher. We've been over this last month, but there's a variety of funds that are used in the UPWP. So I talked about the PL funds last month. As a refresher, this is the second year where the PL funds, the match to the PL funds, has to be split half from ODOT and half to the MPOs, and that goes for all the MPOs. In all the years past, ODOT provided 100% of the match, but last year and this year they're only providing 50% of the match, which means that we are responsible for a little over $39,000 in match to those PO funds. Let's see. Oh, can you hit that again? Click again. The other thing I showed last month and I discussed with the policy committee is because we didn't need as much funds, and because there's concern about match, we were going to take $720,000 of this STBG funds and put it in a reserve. We're going to use some of it, but put 720 in a reserve. And we would move that to reserve for planning work that we would do later in the year, or model development later in the year. But probably we would not use very much. That's 720. You know, if we needed to use some, we would we'd come back to you, but it would probably be just a fraction of that 720. Next one. Next slide. So this is the same monies, but just shown in a little different table. And I'll go through this table again. And this is part of the UPWP. It's in your packet too. It's on page 53 of the printed packet if you have the printed packet. So we showed this last month as well. Again, on the top row shows the PL funds, and the highlighted blue shaded cell shows the new kind of local match that we haven't had much in the past. We had last year and this year. In past years, we never had to provide local match to the PL funds. Then the third row shows the STBG funds we want to use next year. That's 516,000 of STBG funds. And that light orange shaded box is the match to those STBG funds, which is 59,000. The row after that is that 720 that I mentioned before. So that wasn't in the table 13A before, but after talking with ODOT, they said we can't just call it reserve without putting it in the table and showing the match. So we want to show it in the table, but also we want to make sure that those funds get obligated for a couple of reasons. One, if we want to use it, we want to obligate it, and then we can de-obligate it for a different use. But also, as you may have heard me talk about many times, we want to make sure we obligate all our federal funds, including these federal funds, so we qualify for redistribution funds at the end of the year. And those are funds that the federal government sends to ODOT, and they take a small slice of those funds and give it to the three large MPOs, Metro, us, and the Eugene Springfield. And on average, we've been getting about $1 million a year. Some years it's a little less, some years it's a little more, but it's like a little extra bonus if we obligate all our funds. It's kind of a bonus if you could move your funds out with projects or with planning and not just hold on to them or let them slip year after year. ODOT doesn't want those funds slipping. It's not good for them, and it hurts us as a state getting redistribution funds. So it's shown in the table at 720. It's shown as the match. As I mentioned 5 minutes earlier, we either won't use it this year, or we might de-obligate some and use it for some modeling projects that Ray's in charge of. Or we might use it for some planning work if we have to use some planning work. If we don't use it for either of those uses, we have a number of choices. We could take the remainder. Let's say we use, I don't know, 200,000 of that 720. The other 520 would be savings. We could use it for a future UPWP, or we could de-obligate it and put it back in the TIP for projects. And we've done that sometimes. We've reduced the STBG in our UPWP and put it as project funds in the TIP because our projects were running short of funds. So there's that flexibility to do that. Besides that reserve fund, nothing much has changed. Could you zoom out a little bit more? So if you add up the two shaded boxes, the 39,000 of matching to PL and the 59,000. I should just look over here. The 59,000 shaded for the STBG. Those two add up to a little over 98,000. And if we use our standard way of just deciding how much each jurisdiction pays, there's 7 large jurisdictions. So we take that 98,000. Well, Turner would pay 2,500. So we take that out. And then the remainder would be divided by the 7 large jurisdictions, which means 13,724 for Salem-Keizer, Marion County, Polk County, the ODOT, Grants District, and the school district. They'd all pay $13,724. Can you go to the next slide? So that part of it hasn't changed as far as the match, but there is something I'll get to as far as in-kind match. Okay. We can go past that. So this is the same table you saw last month. It shows the history of match over the years. Okay. So this is over 13 years and all these UPWPs over the years. It shows how much match was done for each year. So in like last year, there was $10,301 of match to the STBG funds we used, and $5,548 match to the PL funds. which totaled 15,849. This year it'll be lower because we're not using as much STBG. So the match to the STBG is 8,088, and the match to the PL is 5,636 for a total of 13,724. And you can see that, for example, that 8,088. I was just looking at it this morning. There are 4 years that had higher amount, but 8 years that had lower amount. So that amount has changed, but this is more on the lower end of the match that we've asked for the STBG. What throws everyone is this is the second year we've had to match to the PL funds. We've never had to match the PL funds except for last year. So I know there's a lot of concern about the extra match we talked about last month. And so I started investigating, can we do in-kind match? And I looked at other MPOs, and I've been talking to my folks at ODOT, and we're still in the process of looking at that. Can you go to the next slide? So how in-kind match works is you use the value of time of non-SKATS employees attending meetings, for example, here at the policy committee or at our technical advisory committee, and possibly other kind of coordinating meetings to do the long-range plan or the long-range employment and housing forecast, using those values of time of staff as in-kind match instead of cash match. Right? So we can't use ODOT staff because they're paid with federal funds. And the process is we can't pay salaried policy committee members. So our two county commissioners, they probably wouldn't count for in-kind, but all the non-salaried officials that attend would count toward the kind of the process they have.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they just figured that
So
paid.
even though Lyle's time is paid for by Polk County, they wouldn't consider that in kind.
I guess because the counties receive federal funds, and maybe some of those federal funds go toward the county commissioners.
So those are TAC committee members.
Sorry?
I don't know if they paid out of the borough. Times I don't know.
Yeah, that's the convention that's good.
We're not paid out of, we're not paid out of federal
money.
funds.
Yeah.
But I would think the TAC members potentially could be.
That's funny. There's a distinction between staff and
Right. I'm not gonna-
officials. Yeah, I didn't make up these rules, and I'm still learning. I'm kind of following without knowing the background. So
Totally makes sense for volunteers to be in kind of time. I guess.
yeah. But they've been doing this for a while for some other MPOs, and they do allow staff to count. So
We'll take anything we can get.
yeah, if it counts, if they allow it, we'll take it. So I'm following the examples provided by ODOT of other in-kind arrangements for MPOs. I got tentative approval last week for in-kind match up to the SKATS portion of the PL match, the $39,000. I don't know if we can generate enough match of that 39,000. We'll have to let it play out and see how much match we can do. It all depends on how many meetings you have, the attendance in those meetings, how long the meetings are, etc. So I don't know, of that 39,000, I don't know exactly how much in-kind match will qualify. I'm sure we'll qualify for a good portion of that 39,000.
So the federal government will recognize in-kind match for
Mhm.
matching funds for federal money.
Yes.
Wow. Ever heard that before?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah. In different things.
Yeah. Grants, off federal grants, they'll build out that. So I'm still waiting for some things back from ODOT. We just had a meeting with them yesterday, clarification about the rates we can use. Like I said, certain meetings, what meetings qualify for this and what don't possibly. So, but I've requested and got tentative approval for 39,000 of the match. So what I need to go forward is I need to document how much match we think we may get up to that 39,000 and post it as an appendix to our UPWP. So that's kind of part of our adopted UPWP. And I don't have to make any changes to the intergovernmental agreement. That's where I am right now. Our intent is to use match for part of the PL match that we are required to provide. as much as we can. And we won't know that until we start getting into getting some answers from ODOT about the rates, but also figuring out, attendance at meetings and how long meetings. I'll have a better idea probably by first 6 months where we're at halfway through the year, where we're at as far as the in-kind amount.
Did we just, sorry, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
question. Did we just pay it last year? Did we just get billed for it last year?
Last year, you just gave us
Kyle didn't
money.
know about it.
Okay,
It snuck by it.
no, we did.
No,
We didn't do in-kind we did not do in-kind last time.
Right.
So
But everyone just paid their match amount, right? And this is new territory. I have some questions about, well, okay, we have in-kind match, but where are we gonna get the actual dollars to pay for our expenses? It's one thing to match, but then not have the dollars. So I have to figure out figure out how that might work. And all our expenses might have to be all federal, non local. So it's gonna be a little bit of accounting for our finance department to do this right.
So just to clarify where Polk
Yeah.
County stands, our board, we pretty much come to agreement that the $8,000 annual is not a problem. It's the additional matching funds that they're having issues with. Because we don't get any matching funds, so why should we pay into a pool where we're not gonna get any matching funds back? So we want to be good partners and stewards and do the $8,000. Those that are getting the projects, they're asking that the 5,600 extra money would be divided among the other 6.
Yeah, so Mike, when will you know the in-kind amount that we could apply to the 34,000?
I made myself a rough estimate. It might be about 17,000 based on how many TAC members attend and how long meetings are.
Almost half of it.
Yeah, in the neighborhood of half. Yeah. Now, if they approve more meetings, like meetings that was just for the TAC and the PC meetings. If they approve more meetings, we document meetings for development of long-range plan, development of the long-range forecast. That'll add, maybe 1,000, 2,000 to the amount that I'm guessing here. So like I said, we'll have to let it play out and figure out how much match we can generate. What happens is I asked for in-kind match up to 39,000. ODOT will say, okay, you don't have to come up with that 39,000, but at the end of the year, we have to document how much match is. And then at the end of the year, if we've only done half of that 39,000, we'll have to come up with the cash to make up the rest. So. Got it. So I'll still need the cash from the local governments to actually make up the.
I have a question. I'm appointed by the governor. Does this apply to appointed officials?
It's a good question. I don't know the answer. Because you're not salaried, I'm guessing it's not.
Okay.
But Kim and I are putting together a number of questions to.
And
close-
another thing in the
Yeah.
email,
Yeah.
and one
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is there am I gonna get, like, I am an in-kind donee of time, is there any tax implications to that? I know that is a compensatory issue for ODOT with people qualifying for things like TANF and SNAP.
I seriously doubt it. It's never been brought up to my knowledge that, it's the MPO that's paying this tab, so.
Yeah. You're not getting a W-2 or anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and there's a dollar amount assigned to it, so I'm just wondering
Yeah.
where that number travels and if I'm gonna be getting an envelope.
I would be amazingly surprised.
It'd be nice if it's all in full of cash.
Unmarked bills, please.
I tell you, over the last month, it's been a challenge to learn what other MPOs have done to get some answers from ODOT about what I have to do, what's the limits, number of these smaller questions. So it's tricky. Finding the right person who has all the answers is not always easy.
Let me add that we're looking at some of the material that's used at maybe the other MPOs, and they don't they list staff by jurisdiction or appointees by jurisdiction, but there were not individual names, which makes me think that it's more about the position that's being credited rather than the individual. Okay.
I just love the fact you're looking at other avenues outside the box. So great job. Keep it up. Yeah, that's what we need.
I've always done. Here's find other money. Yep.
Yeah.
So, last slide, right? So just to wrap up, our recommendation is to have the policy committee direct staff to continue work on this in-kind match with ODOT. Include a match assumption in Appendix E of the UPWP, which you don't have in front of you, but provide it after the fact. And then post that UPWP on our website. Well, we'll post the UPWP on the website, but we need the UPWP adopted by the policy committee by the resolution. D or E? Oh, D, I'm sorry, it was D.
D for dollars.
Yeah, D for documenting dollars. Yes, sorry.
Well, Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve resolution 6-7 to adopt SKATS FY 627 United Planning Work Program.
Here's a second.
One second.
Second. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
More to your points, Chair, about asking for, what are we gonna do after the documents adopted, posted and approved by ODOT? What should be our process for collecting those matches? Because you just had an idea of what, said what counties would, what you want the other to do. So,
Yeah, I have one question.
Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
I love listening to these conversations, so my only question is, how many angels dance on the head of a pin?
I guess I need some direction, and you don't have to decide today. I suppose you could decide in April, but or today. What am I sending out as invoices? Am I sending out that? Where was that number, right? Yeah, the slides. 13,000. Yeah, am I sending out the invoices of 13,724 to all 7 members, or do you still need some discussion, or I need some direction from the policy what to do?
Sounds like you're good. You're right.
I'm good at $8,000. I'm not good at 13,000.
We don't need to, just direction, right? We don't need to.
Right. Moving forward.
So am I sending 13,724 to the other members except Polk County?
Well, then that would need to go up at 13,724.
No, the 8,000, right? What do we? We're
Wait.
talking about the STBG funds?
Yeah.
So we need to, if we were gonna do that, he's asking us to divide the 5636 by 6 instead of by 7.
No. Okay. The norm, so we need match for the 58,000 of STBG and the 39,000 of PO funds, right? And so that's the 8,000 per jurisdiction for the PO for STBG funds, and the 5636 for the sorry, that makes it
Matching funds per each.
8,000 for matching the STBG funds and 56,000 for matching the PL funds per jurisdiction.
5,600. I thought we were just talking about that's gonna be some of the in-kind on the 5,600.
True, but I don't know how much. And what I'd like to do is collect it now, the full amount, and then I know I don't know how much
Okay.
I'll need.
So you need the discussion. So the $8,088 per jurisdiction, I think everybody's okay with.
That's what it sounds like.
Sure, but the question becomes the 5636. You don't want to pay it at Polk County. That's what your board said. So you want us to divide that amount by 7 jurisdictions.
It'd be by 6.
By 6.
Well, they,
By-
not the 56, but the 39,000.
39 by 6 jurisdictions. By 6 jurisdictions.
And then at the end of the year, we'll do the accounting to see if you should get money back because we had in-kinds amounts.
I don't think we would have any problem with the in-kinds going to the 6 that covered the amount of matching.
Yeah,
Polk County
you
would
would
need in.
you would apply that first to the people that have paid.
Yeah, so let's assume that each one of you or Polk County is paying 5636 per jurisdiction.
Well, it'd be more because you gotta divide it
Oh,
by
okay.
six.
6575.
6575, okay. So the invoices includes the 8,088, 6575.
And then can you put on the invoice the difference between 56 and whatever the amount is and have a line we're paying for Polk County so that we know that?
I could put in the memo.
Please.
And then at the end,
So I get questioned on it.
Yeah. and then at the end of the year,
Yeah, on that.
at the end of the year, if we do the accounting and we say, okay, we didn't, the in-kind amounted to, let's say, 18,000. We would divide that 18,000 by the other
Six, right?
$3,000. We could send the $3,000 back to Marion County, Keizer and Salem and Transit.
Exactly.
We could do that. And that's what the policy committee is okay with. That's what I wanted to discussion. So I'm not making assumptions about how things are going to be paid.
Is everybody good with that?
I just don't know that I can make the decision independently without discussing it with other board members of the transit district
Bring to your board and we discuss it next meeting.
at Thursday.
Yeah.
So,
We discuss it and
Yeah,
finalize this.
I don't just,
Do this as a tentative.
yeah, I'm not sending those invoices out until July, but I wanted to make sure we were talking about the sharing of the match.
And does everybody have any questions on why Polk County Board came up to this decision? It's just the number of projects that we've been doing. So it's getting tighter and tighter. Or just decided this is where it is, so we resolved this kind of a happy medium.
I think it makes sense. I wonder if there is an allocation method, because right, we cut Turner down to 2,500. I wonder, I know Mel's not here for the school board, but they don't have many projects that go in, but they would be considered a jurisdiction for
Yeah.
match purposes.
Since they're a SKATS member, yeah.
Yeah.
So is ODOT.
Are there any examples of ways that MPOs are trying to make an equitable division based on where projects are being funded and built?
I haven't looked at that question about how the match might be divided among the members.
And I'm not sure it would be by projects. If they're doing it, I haven't heard of any place doing it by project as opposed to.
Not by like price tag?
Yeah, price tag. If it would, it'd be probably size, but again, that's something I haven't spent
Yeah.
a whole lot of time looking at.
We would have to research that. I'm not even sure they put that in the UPWP.
But the top of the three large MPOs, is there any school districts that are a part of them besides ours?
Not to my knowledge,
Right.
no.
What do you-
But like Metro has some.
No,
There's the ones like they have the port. The airport, Port of Portland, I guess.
what I'm saying is, just by geographic distribution and size, Marion County and the city of Salem get more projects. And so, to Chair Wardhorse's point, it's the ROI, right? It's the return on investment. Transit gets projects, it's a return on investment. But for a smaller jurisdiction, maybe you just make it over the line, you're not Turner, but how can we kind of level the playing field for the jurisdictions that are benefiting and those that are less likely to see construction or funding in their areas?
Well, I can speak my mind a little bit. There's more to SKATS than just how much you get out of construction projects. Remember, we're a regional agency, do a lot of things to improve the whole region that are more than just how much one jurisdiction gets for projects, doesn't get for projects. There's more to it than that, right? So I don't like going down this road of doing a very detailed quantifications of how many projects Salem got and that their share of the UPWP match is based on that. Because for one thing, it's going to change all the time. And how far back do you go? Do you go back 4 years? Do you go back 10 years? In Keizer, it might be 0 some years and then, I don't know, 10,000 the next year. So it's going to jump up and down. I think that's going to cause a lot of confusion and discussion about That's not nice.
I have a comment on that, please.
Go ahead, Mile.
Not only that, you'd have to ask, is it on a county road or on a city road? All right, I mean, we've got two projects, one in Turner and one near. Both are on county roads. So is that the county's responsibility or is that our responsibility? I mean, you could start dividing this up and adding this up in a million different ways. And I'm with you, Mr. Jaffe. I really don't want to go down this road either. We all benefit from these projects, no matter where you live.
Mr. Chair, I would be happy to solve, the mayor's problem. We can just give him those roads since they're in. And he can take care of it.
That's very generous, but no thank you. We can barely pay to sweep them.
In the history of this group, we've never looked at this, and going forward, I hope we don't have to look at this. But when we open up gates, it opens up more visual things that unfortunately had a fallout of are those discussions that we've had. And this is what happens when you try to change what's worked so well for so many years. So I'm hoping we can get through this and get it behind us, and we all are here for this whole region and making a success. That's the focus of the group. That's where I want it to stay. Unfortunately, members show and they open minds and create questions that we have to address. So we'll get through this. We always do. So it's just one of those bumps in the road. I'm a believer we'll get it behind us in another year, hopefully in just a few months.
Mr. Chair, just a
Yes.
clarification. Mike, you predict that we will still see this every year in the future? This is a new trend that's here to stay with us.
You know,
It's only
ODOT
2 years now.
ODOT could go either direction. They could say, oh, we're gonna move back to 100% matching the field funds, or they could say, hey, we have to go, we're gonna stick to 50%, or they might say, hey, MPOs, you have to cover 100%. Their funding crisis might get worse, so they might think you're not covering any of the PO match. So I don't know.
That thing.
We're as MPOs, we're always going to keep advocating for it. I did see something, I think Steve shared it with me, that maybe the next bill, if it gets adopted, these PO funds won't require a match. So there's another possibility.
That was like a marker
Is that-
bill. That's something like the MPO Association in
Yeah.
Washington DC is advocating for.
Advocating for it.
Yeah, whether or not it can do it.
If you want to go down, it could be that the local match goes up to every other state.
Yeah, it could,
20%.
it could, things
So
could
let's-
change all over.
Let's get this back. We have
My night.
we have a motion second for adopting resolution 2607. So we've had lots of discussion. Let's have a vote. For all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes unanimous. Okay, let's get back on schedule here. And item number E, SKATS Metropolitan Transportation Plan, project evaluation criteria and comments on chapters 2 and 3. Ray Jackson.
So, last month we had a good discussion. We presented about the goals and objectives, policies, chapter 2 and 3, and this acknowledge and that we received comments from Sadie on those, and we have some partial responses.
Okay.
We will be coming back and talking about that more next month when I got more of them done, but due to mailing times, I wasn't able to send out everything.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was close.
You were close, but you didn't factor in, I was taking off the rest of the week and then technical problems on Monday.
No, I did not.
It's like, nobody would know. Anyway. Did you know that? So today we're talking about the criteria that is used for evaluating the projects for inclusion in the long-range plan. And we'll start with why we use criteria and discuss what those are and have some discussion about whether we want those, whether you want those to change. And then how the criteria and the weights are used and whether those need to change would be another discussion point. I'll give a very quick example of a project evaluation to show you the behind the scenes, how it works. Appendix C is that portion of the long range plan where I document what we're talking about today. I don't think I included that in here, but it is, well, it's basically the memo. There's a couple TSPs that are happening, will happen this year, hopefully. And they will have impacts on the long range plan, and we'll just briefly discuss that. And again, we received the comments on Shepherd's. So we have the criteria for project evaluation to evaluate the projects, how well they match up with our goals that are set in the long range plan, and to show that, you know, we're following the federal regulations, discussion of performance-based planning that is for the MPOs. As a reminder, the criteria is just one of the many factors that we use to select projects. You know, there's also the financial constraint portion of that. There's also local priorities. So this is just one way of getting projects into the long range. Currently, we have 10 goals. We discussed these all last month. They were reviewed by the policy committee and the PAC. We have some six objectives, which were also reviewed last month. We'll also be talking about these a little bit probably next month as well. Each of the objectives and goals has one or more criteria that links it to how we evaluate the project and see how well the project does in regards to that goal. We go over the reminders of what the goals and objectives are and get straight into the 9 criteria that we currently have, which are also included on page 3 of your packet. And these haven't changed from the last time, except for criteria number 8, where we needed to change the wording to reflect the environmental justice executive order going away and change the wording to low income and or minority area instead. We also, okay, so that gets us to discussion point number 1. Hopefully you've had a chance to review the criteria, and we can discuss each one of them now as if you'd like. But are there any proposed changes to the criteria? Realizing that in a minute we're going to talk about the weighting of those and then how they are applied. So what factors we look at in the project description to see if the criteria applies. Also, are there any criteria that should be added to this evaluation process? The PAC reviewed all this 2 weeks ago, and they had no recommendations for adding, changing, or deleting. So I open the floor for discussions from this point with the realization that we have weights and application to come.
Any thoughts?
And one.
Go ahead, T.
Thank you, Chair. It seems to me that in the comments we've received back in the surveys that SKATS staff has done, there has been a desire for better kind of like active transportation, sort of safety things, so sidewalks and bike lanes and stuff like that. I don't know if it's possible to reflect that in.
So that is reflected in how we apply the criteria.
Okay.
And that's also reflected in the weighting. So previously being last time for the long range update, PC decided the weight for safety for vulnerable users will be, you get 2 points. The criteria will be 2 points for the project address vulnerable user issues. 1 point if it's just a general safety. So we're trying to do it that way. And then in the discussion, which would be towards the end now, on page 3 and 4, it gets into more of how we apply the definition. So we look for if the project has sidewalks and bike lanes, then it helps understand if it's meeting the people who are doing active transportation.
Okay.
Anyone else? I'll throw in one here. I know we've just got the goals listed 1 through 9 because they represent the goals of the things, but maybe we just a survey to prioritize our priorities on a local level. If we could just have that installed in this as well. When I shared this with some friends, they want to know why we had our priorities, they were 1 through 9, which they're just random because they're federal guidelines. What are your priorities? So if we can just list the priorities so everybody on the board knows what our criteria was that we came up with from our voting, so we know how our criteria on our local level matches to this.
Okay.
So we can leave it like this, but here's our criteria and priorities for our.
Right, and then we get that, so when local jurisdictions gives a projects, they specify the priority.
Right.
High level, yeah. And so we have that. For SKATS itself, we just get that priority from them, assuming that there's funds, you know. Usually if it's a high priority, the local jurisdiction either has funds or wants to get funds for it. So it being unfunded. So it sort of gets to that. The goals, as you say, aren't in any particular order, right? Per se, nor really are the criteria other than
Exactly.
that's the one where I started hyping first. So
For our priority list from our study and our questionnaire that we filled out, and it's been a couple of years since we've done that. Just have that shown here to where our SKATS is MPO. Here's what our criteria is locally.
Yeah.
So
okay.
and that way we don't need to do any more than that. That way everybody just understands. It also shows the way that we did through the exercise as well, just for FYI.
Okay. I'll bring something back and we can talk about it next month and see if I've understood. So that gets into applying the criteria. So we have, as you'll see later, we have descriptions of each project that are provided by your staffs. And then I go through and see how well, if it says anything that is pertinent to each of the criteria, and then it gets a point with the caveat that safety, if it's addressing people walking their bike, vulnerable users, it gets 2 points. And go through all 200 plus projects and we get a score, a first score. And then there is one proposed change of how to do that. And this is to reflect that you adopted a Metropolitan Transportation Safety Action Plan 2 years ago, 24, yeah, that was 24, okay, 18 months ago. That there is a high injury network. So if a project is on a high injury network, that it would be, obviously a safety project. Points. So that's the only change on applications. And then there's the discussion about weighting. So here are the weights that the policy committee agreed to in 2022 for using the last long range plan, where safety projects have a multiplier for enhancing transit, service or ops operations is 3 points. Reduce a gap in a regional system, meaning bicycle, walking, sidewalks, or signal interconnects, etc. That gets 3 points. Addressing a bottleneck is 3 points. If it's contiguous to another project from another jurisdiction, or probably from the same jurisdiction, it just gets 1. And all the other criteria, so the other 5-ish of them would also just get 1 point.
Perfect.
So does that sort of get to what you were talking about? Okay, good. I don't have to do anything. I'll talk.
Priority, the full priority.
Oh, okay. I'll still do that. So that gets us to discussion point number 2 or 3. I've lost count. Are there any changes into either how we're proposing to define the criteria or the weights that are used or defined? Add, subtract, modify. Again, the TAC reviewed this and had no recommendations. So opening the floor for this discussion point.
Questions? Hearing none, on to the next one.
Okay. Just to give you an example of the behind the scenes, and probably not going to be able to see it very well on these screens. We have a project database. It includes a description that is provided by your staff. You know, this is Verda Lane, which is Smallwood to Dearborn. So this is the north part one. Which you just received $850,000 in congressional funding. How about that? To do the sidewalks. I wonder why I picked this one. So it has a little just check boxes. So based on the description, we can see, you know, it increases the pavement. It ranked good because it is whenever it's widened to 3 lanes. So it's going from 2 lane to 3 lanes. So it's putting the center turn lane. The pavement's going to get repaved. So all the pavement's going to go up to good. It enhances travel service and ops because it is providing sidewalks on both sides. So people can actually get to the sidewalk or the bus stop safely. It's reducing a gap because it bikes and lanes and sidewalks. It improves the transportation options in the low income or minority area. I don't recall, I think it's the east side of Keizer is one of the other. It's addressing a safety location issue because there are no sidewalks and walking in ditches is not safe. So yes, there are 5 checkboxes, but it's 6 because safety is 2, 4 because it's sidewalks and bikes. So you get 6 points. Weighted, you get 16 points. So the project scores fairly well. And that's, you just times that by 260 some projects and you then come to the PC with an itemized list and you guys talk about it. So that's the behind the scenes. We'll, sometime later this fall, we'll have another discussion about that because we will have gone through this project and we'll done through all the projects. And we'll go to the next point where how much money does Polk County have for their 5 new projects or Marion County's projects, and try to divide it out to figure out which ones will be included in the financially constrained projects list as opposed to the illustrative list. This doesn't apply to you because I didn't give you Appendix C. So TSP updates, just as a reminder, Keizer and Salem are updating their transportation system plans. Going forward, all local transportation system plans need to be financially constrained. The state defines that as 125% of anticipated revenue. The feds define financially constrained as 100%. So fortunately, we can't just take project list from the Keizer TSP and bring it over. We're going to have to chop off some of the projects. The other bummer is the Keizer and Salem TSPs still haven't started, as far as I know, as of yesterday or even today. So the project lists probably aren't going to be available when we need them this fall, which we'll discuss about in fall and figure out how we're going to go forward. And that's it for the memo on the project evaluation criteria and waiting and whatnot. Are there any final questions, comments?
Hooray.
I have one more slide, but it's not really that.
Go for it.
I think, okay. So as I mentioned, Sadie provided comments on chapter 2 and 3. Thank you. There is some in your packet. There's some responses. There are a lot of TBDs. The TBDs have been replaced with words now, but you'll see that next one. There's mainly just as summarize these comments. Mostly suggested language adding in chapter 2. Chapter 3, the suggested language is in the explanatory statements. And there are like 2 or 3 new objectives that are proposed. Those I've identified, that needs a bigger discussion. Some of the objectives, I'd like to talk with Sadie and see if we can just deal with it before docking with you. We'll have more discussion in April. Final promise, last slide. Just to keep, long range plan, April, we'll finalize the discussion on chapters 2 and 3. But, if you have any, something bubbles up when you're sleeping tonight about evaluation criteria or weights, and it's, you want to discuss it, we still have time to discuss that. So we have April for cleaning up all the goals, policy, evaluation, get all that set. May is all about Steve and the TIP adoption. Come back in June, I'm just saying everyone's going on vacation, so that'll be good. July, we'll come back and Kim will talk to you about population employment forecast. July and August will be me boring you about performance measures, federal performance measures, because we need to either agree to the target set by ODOT or a set, or at least do at least 2 for SKATS. For you who have been here before, you've gone through this. Since we have a lot of new people, we'll do the 101 again in July and then talk about it in August, because ODOT needs those by September 1st, September 15th, one of those dates. Fall, we'll have financial projections and project evaluation and the draft project list, and that will get you to that. And that's a nice slide produced by our AI assistant. So we'll just stop there.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, that brings us to item F. Amendment for SKATS. Future funding year for 2027-32 TIP. Transportation Improvement Plan. Mr. Steve.
Yeah, so this is a pretty short one, straightforward. So Chariots applied for a discretionary grant, which they were awarded. It's a bus and bus facilities grant from the Federal Transit Administration. So they applied to for construction funding to support the construction of the South Salem Transit Facility. And so the request here is our role for the MPO is to amend our TIP listing and add the additional funding that was awarded from FTA to the project listing. So it was a $3 million grant that they are going to receive from FTA, and then there's some local match funds that are added as well. So it takes the current listed cost as from 4.2 million to 8 million. That's still not the true total cost of the project. When we move to our assuming May approval of the next TIP cycle, there's another $2 million that SKATS awarded that'll be will be included on the project listing as well. So that'll bring the total up to $10 million at that point. And so, yeah, the request is just to amend the TIP with resolution 26-6 to add the new grant funding to the project.
Any questions?
Yeah. Where's the local match come from? The 750?
That's I don't know specifically, but that's going to be some sort of Chariots funding that they're able to tap into.
I don't want to misspeak. I think there's a federal number attached to it, maybe like 53.9 or something like that. I almost brought the printout of our.
Can't usually match federal.
Yeah, then I'm not 100% sure. I should have brought the printout from the long range financial forecast that we had with the Business Alliance a couple weeks ago, because it was all in there and you could see where we had had the funding and anticipated spending it, and then because this project has taken so long, like the graph goes way down and then way up over here instead of following a line. I can send a message.
No problem.
Can you use the state funding you got to use it for match? State funded money?
They've got a huge reserve.
Well, we have a reserve that will allow us to continue providing the same level of transit service we have now for another 2 years without any increased funding coming in. And then after that, we have to start looking at service reductions.
It just generally, it can be any non-federal source, so it can be local tax dollars, or it can be fares, ridership fares can be used as match as well.
I'll send an email right now. If I can get an answer before the end, I will.
Desiree, what got typed in the chat?
Anna was taking a call.
So looking for a motion to adopt resolution 26-6, amending the SKATS FY 2027-32 tip. Shall I hear a motion?
Motion to adopt resolution 26-6, amending the SKATS FFY 27-32.
I will second.
Then move second. Any other discussion?
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big amount. Second, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I asked this last time. You have the location
Yeah, it's,
bounced around.
yeah, it's down.
Commercial, let's see.
You'll see. Thank you.
See in commercial, I think you asked about that.
Gunter's Gardens place is kind of across to the south. It's
Okay.
the old drive-in location. So when you look at it
So it's on
aerially.
the same side of the commercial as Gunther's.
Mhm.
Yeah.
East, and what's east side? Yeah.
Same size, east side.
What's crazy is if we hunted, right, for so long to find a piece.
It's good that you're out there, because I think they were looking at Walmart for a while, right around Walmart.
They were.
They need to be further south.
But if you look across the street and you see there's a bunch of retail over there. I don't know what they had originally planned for that location, but the parking lots that are surrounding the commercial development on the opposite side of the road are just immense. They're so vast. I was like, this is enough for a transit center right here. But the way we, have traditionally planned for parking and like maximum, like the number of people going into the business, and I don't know how the city does it, but it's like 3 spaces for every hour that you're open, and this, just a lot of paved area down there. I'll be glad to get a transit center in there, and then people don't have to park in it, I guess.
Okay,
They still
motion
will.
second. Call for it. Everybody in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Motion passes unanimous. Got a thumbs up from Anna. Item G, summary of the Metropolitan Transportation Improvement Plan. Mr. Steve.
Yeah, so there is an attachment at the very end of your packet, but this is just an overview of the amendments that were made in the last month. So there's 4 that are on the list, and 2 of them were discussed and approved by this group at the February meeting, having to do with the reductions in construction costs for a couple projects. And then the 2 newer ones were administrative amendments. One relates to ODOT's ongoing, one of their projects for ongoing curb ramp construction. And that was just a change in the description to change some of the locations. They took out some of the locations because I think they're being delivered as part of another project listing. So I think it was entered as a duplicate for location wise. And then the other one, the second administrative amendment, which is number 4 on the list, That is just an update to the project description for the commercial to Ratcliffe project that City of Salem is working on. And when we had our open house for the TIP 2 weeks ago, someone from the public commented, gave us a little more specific about project details. So we chatted with Julie Hansen and said, hey, should we add information about the bike facilities into the project listing? So we just made that change administratively as well.
Excellent. Any questions? Comments?
Yeah, I did make comments, just looking at the last two, the Orchard Heights and the Vernal Lane, and how bids came in way under what the budget was. Not way under, but at least they weren't over. Significantly, those were good signs for some stuff done.
So a question for Anna, are you seeing this across the board with your state projects as well?
Yes. But I can tell you we're a little concerned about Bethel Road. That's Oregon 99 Bethel Road project that's going to bid, I think, the end of April. And then we have another project bidding at the beginning of April. A little bit concerned about the war and potential increase in oil costs and asphalt escalation. So our construction office is working on that, but like Kings Valley Highway came in significantly lower than our engineer's estimate. Like our engineer's estimate for biddable items was around 8.5 million, and the bid came in at 6.8 or something like that.
And that was the roundabout project, right?
Yeah.
So, or where it's a roundabout project.
Yeah. We have 11 bidders on that project. A very competitive bidding. It was interesting because North Core, who's a large, subdivision developer, was the lowest bidder. And so they're going to be doing that project, and that's going to be interesting. I mean, it'll hopefully go great. They've asked a lot of questions of our construction office, and they're having good coordination so far. So yeah, 11 bidders is a lot. Sorry, go ahead.
Half the money we need to rebuild the realignment of Fairdale Road.
Yeah, it's arts money though. But anyway, really, that was really great news for that project.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, item H requires no committee action. SKATS FFY.
Yeah, it's just the calendar for upcoming meetings. The next OMPOC meeting is May 1st, which I will miss. So one of my staff will attend, but is there anyone who wants to? You want to attend the OMPOC meeting, chair, as usual?
May 1st.
May 1st, yeah.
Yes, I have it on calendar.
Okay.
I'll be there.
And you see the OTC meetings if you are interested in those. And then Steve added some information in that table about the status of the TIP, which you can read about the public comments. And you'll get those public comments presented to you next month of April. And as he mentioned, May is the tentative adoption for the public hearing, and then the adoption of the new TIP.
We went back to back in Klamath Falls.
It looks like.
Is that right?
So, you're under.
OTC?
Sorry, July 11th should be like Salem. If it's not listed, it's Salem. The date,
Oh, June 11th?
June 11th should be Salem.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
Subject to change. A couple months ago, it was all Salem, and then they changed back to going across the state. So it might change again.
Okay. So anything you would like to add or provide the board?
I'll say that our Safe Routes to School program is going very well. We've doing more and more schools. We just did Lamb Elementary School. And in addition to doing like 3 weeks at Lamb Elementary School, we used our brand new trailer and brand new bikes at the school. And it was such a joy to go to the school and have kids be excited about the bikes. I was there on the last day. Kids would ask me, are the bikes coming back? I said, no, not coming back next week. And they're very disappointed. And the little boy just came up and hugged my legs. You know, he's this tall. He's very excited to do that. And we handed out ribbons and things like that as a reward. And we have some more schools coming up. We have another one in Keizer coming up, South Salem one coming up. And then we're planning to buy the second half of our fleet in this summer. So we have one trailer and full of bikes, but to do a full fleet for the next year, we really need 2 trailers. Some schools are bigger. Plus we have bikes of different sizes for small kids and some big kids. So we'll be buying our second trailer this summer and some more bikes. And in addition to the schools, we're branching out to other things. So we're in discussions to do the Keizer Blast Camp, which I think is the end of June, early July, I think the dates are. And then before that, we're doing this event called the Monster Cookie that Salem Bike Club does, where they go out, I think 64 miles in the full cookie, but they have something called a mini cookie, which is like just 6 miles or something like that. So my coordinator is going to lead that mini cookie around the neighborhoods of Keizer, and it's going to start at McNary High School. So he'll do the mini cookie, but then we're going to have a bike rodeo there as well. So there'll be different organizations with booths doing things, and we'll have obstacle courses and various test things for the kids to they can bring their own bikes or they can borrow one of our bikes to do this. So we're trying to not just do the schools, but reach out to other events that's possible.
Is this all funded through grants, or where's the funding coming from?
Now most of the funding's for the MPO, but for all the equipment, the trailers and the bikes, I'm trying to do all that through outside grants, like the Salem Rotary, the Cycle Oregon.
Did we get you some yet? Have you applied?
I've applied. It's all submitted. I think we have to go to some board meeting of EDAG. Not sure who's on the EDAG, if the commissioners are on the board.
Us.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was. And so I'm working with
Good. Kelly.
Weiss, yeah. And I don't know when she has a schedule. I think it might be while I'm on vacation. So I think it's sometime in April.
I'll talk for you.
Yeah, we're trying to do all that with outside friends.
Excellent.
Yeah,
great job.
I did get an answer for you. It is the statewide transit improvement funds, which are formula funds through the state.
Okay.
Okay,
I might have said it, but those funding sources get all kind of alphabet soup in my brain.
great news. All right, with that, we're adjourned. Okay. Thanks, sir.
Nice job, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.